Yo, what up? My name is Don, and this might be the most honest video that I've ever made as a creator. And it's been a while since I've uploaded, and so I wanted to address the biggest elephant in the room is why I stopped creating, and touch on a bunch of other subjects that are, I guess, related to, just me kind of slowing down as a creator to an ultimate halt, like an ultimate stop. And kind of talk about just other things that I feel like I have to address, because if I had just come back and made another video that was a reaction or a music cover or, some other type of video that I've made in the past, I feel like I would have been falling back into the same old routine. So, I have some very loose notes here that I want to go over to help me kind of get through the topics that I want to touch on. And many people won't care, and I don't think many people are waiting for this specific video. If anything, people were waiting for the rest of the Arcane episodes that I hadn't uploaded. But for anybody who does watch this, I think that this might hit on a lot of important topics that um, just don't really get talked about often. So, um, the first thing, why I stopped creating is it can't really be answered, you know, just in one sentence. Like, it's not just one thing, but I think one big part of it was that creating um started to feel a little bit routine. It started to feel like, I was just, and I say this loosely, feeding the algorithm or feeding the machine that is YouTube, the content machine that is social media. I felt like at a certain point, and this is something that I'm going to go into and talk about a little bit deeper in this video, which is that you know, kind of like creating from necessity versus creating from a place of happiness, like a much more free place to create from, in my opinion. Um, but I'll touch on that later. So uh, basically, it just started to feel very bland overall, and it was hard to create from a place of freedom and a place of creativity, a place of happiness, when there were other things in my life that were affecting me in negative ways and that have taken me a while to get through. And there's no timeline on these things. Like, these things were um, causing me, as sort of like a general term, they were causing me to be like depression. Like, I was depressed, and um my mental health was declining quite rapidly. So it felt very forced to be creative, and it just didn't feel good. So ultimately, it felt like the floor fell out from underneath me, and it took a while um, to even want to reapproach this space and do it in a way that feels much more comfortable. So that kind of leads into why I'm back. And why I'm back is because, like I just said, there's no real timeline on when you're feeling bummed, when you're feeling depressed, when you're going through some sort of, mental health thing. You just have to go through it, I guess, and just ride the wave. And um, if you get, whether you get help or not, or whether you have things that aid you to accelerate that process to get back to a healthy mindset and a healthy place, a happy place, um, you still just have to go through it, however long that process takes. And so I feel that I am ready to be a creator again. I feel that I've I've done my healing. Like, I'm not completely 100% great, but I'm just feeling a lot better than I had been in the past however many months now. And I think that I have clarity around how I want to create going forward. So that really helps me uh, have have a path forward. And why this video? That's the third thing. It's the big third question. Why this video is honestly, like I kind of mentioned at the beginning, it just would have felt so soul draining if I would have come back and just came out with another video. I feel like content creation is a thing where it can very easily feel like you're doing it out of necessity, especially as a smaller creator. I kind of hate using the term smaller creator because I mean a creator is a creator is a creator, right? And if you I mean if you continue to do it over years and such, I guess the goal is to grow and appeal to a bigger audience, but uh, the main goal cannot be to grow. The main goal, at least in my opinion, has to be to spread happiness, spread joy, spread whatever you're sharing with other people, if it's information, like whatever it is, because it feels like the, you know, that's a better means to an end than just doing it for numbers' sake, just chasing numbers. Because when you don't hit those goals or those goals take longer than you would have thought, it can lead to um, pretty harsh burnout, which, you know, I would say that I did experience burnout in a sense, but I can't exactly identify every single reason why I burnt out. I just know that I was going hard on all fronts. I was creating a lot of content. I was uploading it in a lot of different formats and a lot of different places. I wasn't getting a lot of sleep daily. Um, you know, things were just very strenuous outside of the content creation world, and things in my family life and et cetera, et cetera. So even things like even my cat was going through my best buddy, my cat has some health problems that seem to be clearing up now. They seem to be getting better, which is fantastic. That really lifts a giant weight off my my mental palate or whatever. But um things were just not good here and there and everywhere. So little by little it seemed to chip away at me, and I had less of a reserve to be creative, and so everything just got really like a stranglehold. Everything just got really, really, really tight, and I just got to a point where it felt like things just broke, like things snapped, and um, it was so hard to uh, it was hard to understand what was going on, because everything, as far as the content creation went, everything was going generally well. I hit 7,000 subscribers last year. The growth was there. Um, but it's it's not like I ever felt like I had to force being creative when I got into it. Like say when I was reacting to a song or reacting to Arcane, like I do enjoy doing those things. It was just as soon as it ended, as soon as I had to finish watching the show or finish enjoying the song and do the editing part, it felt so forced, and it just felt like it became a thing that was attributing to the weight that I was feeling from everything else rather than a source of like relief, a source of joy. So I felt like I had to make this video to kind of address those things before going forward as a creator. And whatever that means for the type of content that I'm gonna make going forward, I think at the core of it, it has to be content that makes you happy. This is not only something that I've been feeling for a very long time, but it's something that's come to head over and over again as I've gone through this recent episode, this recent bout of just kind of battling some feels, battling some emotions, battling some the waves of life or whatever it is. Um, if I mean, I'm sure it was in other places, but where I saw it was on TikTok. Recently, I saw a video from the guy that made the Dirt Man song. You put a little dirt under your pillow for the Dirt Man. That guy came with a video that I just saw, I think yesterday or the day before, which he was talking about like how a lot of content creation is just trying to sell you things, and a lot of it is like just fraudulent or just uh, basically so fake. And he's saying at the end, basically the lesson that I took from it was like he's saying you have to play. Like he literally said, you got to create from a place of happiness, right? You just have to create stuff that makes you happy because people can sense BS. Like people can sense when it's just disingenuous. And this has been something that I've been so adamant about, even between me and my girlfriend making content. I always say that the first impression is so important because you can't fake that first genuine excitement. You can't fake that first anything. the first impression on things, which is often why when people give me songs to react to or something like that, I say I'm not going to listen to it right away. You know, or people will give me something to react to live on stream, and I say I'm not going to listen to it right away, especially if you think it's like mind-bogglingly amazing, because I want that first genuine reaction to be that's what I want to share with the people that I'm trying to entertain, right? I don't just want to sit there and fake smile and this and that. Or if I've heard it before, I try to say that in the video. Just be completely transparent. I have heard this before, you know, but if it still gets me excited to a certain level, like I will say that. I'll say, but I still love it, and I'm probably still gonna get super stoked. So I think that I've I'm not saying that I was ever disingenuous at any point, but I'm very adamant about things being genuine and um things coming from a place of happiness. Like do things, create content around things that make you happy. I think that's very going to be very embedded in most of my content going forward. I've always had trouble with the idea that I'm sorry, there's something in my eye bothering me really badly. So my eye's been like red all day. So if it's messed up and looks messed up, I there's definitely something in there right now. Um so what was I saying? Basically, I lost my train of thought because my eye. But um, I'm not going to edit this or pause this or anything because again, I want it to be as genuine as possible. Just me talking to the camera, and if people relate to some of the things I'm talking about in this video, great. And if not, just skip on to the next video. So I talked about some of the things that caused me depression. And I talked about some of the mental health. Again, I'm not like self-diagnosing or anything. I'm just saying that my mental health was definitely in a negative spot. Like you don't, you can, this is something that you can just feel naturally when you don't feel good, like it's, and it persists day after day after day after day after day, week after week after week, month after month. And it started to feel like for me, the next couple things I'm going to talk about are like multifaceted, like they're all connected in a big way. That's disassociation, not only from content creation, but from the world in general. Um, versus things like hive mind mentality and just when you look at bigger crowds, um, the way that people think, the way that people act, the way that trends and fads and things like these happen or why they exist or um, I'm not saying they're all bad, but there are some big things that were bothering me about um, just that whole kind of direction. I guess direction of humanity. I guess when I don't know why it bothers me, and I'll try to be more clear on that in a little bit. But that's one of the big things going forward. And then we got disassociation, kind of hive mind mentality, and I felt like being kind of genuine and fake, how it leads into this next part. Okay, so I've been in content creation for a long time. Not only YouTube, not as long. I haven't taken YouTube as long as seriously, but streaming I've been doing for a long time. And streaming is a thing where I'm not saying that as like I've succeeded so hard in streaming, and I'm not trying to present it like woe is me, like I've struggled so hard. I have not done well in streaming, but the thing that I want to touch on is how I've been around so long that I've seen how the energy in the streaming space has shifted, where I'm approaching like my 40th birthday in 2.5 years, and I just feel so ancient and kind of old now. And it's like, for some reason, I'm feeling the whiplash now of the rug being pulled out from underneath me. It's a whole new generation of streaming. It's a whole, kind of new crowd that things are focused on, and that's fine. But I'm more, I guess, focused on the energy of streaming. I feel like I can't really put a timeline on it, so I'm just going to talk loosely. Say I've been around since Justin TV, like since the start, right? And back then, the energy was so genuine in people. It's not so much about like people coming to your stream or not. It's more about the way that people interacted with each other in general. Um, you know, I guess one end of it is the dystopian feeling nowadays. If I'm gonna make a comparison, the kind of dystopian feeling nowadays with the only thing you ever see as a small streamer or a stream that doesn't already have an established community, whatever that size means to you, it's just the bots, the bots, the bots. Like it feels like a barren wasteland. Much of it feels like a barren wasteland, if that's right to say. Whereas before, because the space was so, I guess, juvenile, young, it was very vibrant, exuberant, very full of real people. And those real people were very generally, if I can kind of not pick out individual circumstances, but the overall feeling was that the community just felt much more positive, um, much less focus on drama, much less uh things. And here's the kicker for me. Here's the thing that really bothers me. There was much less fakery. There was much less creators pushing drama. There was much less what I'm gonna call nonsense and BS and just stuff that feels so disingenuous to having a good time. You have creators now who are IRL creators and they go around literally harassing, or they'll call it pranking, whatever, right? So I guess even the energy of like what we're gonna define a prank as has shifted. And creators nowadays, some of the I I I guess I'm gonna say some of the biggest, because whether it's the top 1%, top 2%, top 5%, doesn't matter. All these people are wildly more successful than me, so they're all massive creators, right? Again, I'm not gonna name names, but I'm pretty sure that if you pay attention to the social media space, the not even just the streaming space, just the social media space, because their names get around here and there, that there are people, while there are people that do very nice things for the industry, there's also a giant rise over the past, I don't know, 10 years, but 5 years more specifically, 5 to 6 ish, around that time period, where um people will fake it to make it. Like they take that so literally, and it's become so rampant in the space, in the creation space, not only live streaming and uploading content, but it leaks over into the real world. You fake it to make it so hard that that just seems to be the way to do it, right? I'm talking about people faking personalities, whether it's in the streaming space and they're using other people to get ahead and not really trying to make genuine friendships, whether it's the people who are this idea of toxic positivity. I personally kind of hate the word toxic because it's a word that gets latched on and thrown at everything that upsets people, where they don't know how to process different opinions. And it also gets tossed on things that are just straight like, no, that person's being an a-hole. They're not, like, toxic is such a general term. It doesn't define anything very well for me, and so it pisses me off generally when people use it as just a general blanket throw out term here and there, right? But this idea of toxic positivity, specifically meaning positivity that is so exuberant that there's a very low chance that it can be real, right? People who are trying to befriend everybody in the space, right? People who are always doing, people who are being extra. They're always being 120% with everybody, trying to be perfect with everybody, changing how they act in certain social groups, just to appease certain people so that they can push their agenda ahead. It becomes a thing where like people's greed supersedes their desire to coexist with other people successfully. I've had to think about how to say that, right? Because it's not like you just want other people to succeed. For example, I always say I want it just as bad for other people as I want it for myself. And everything down to this, what should be a more unserious, like the digital world has become so serious because that's, again, I'm almost 40 years old and I've been around since just like when I was young, I think my cousin's family had a Commodore 64, and so I had played around on that a bit. I've used that computer, right? And the point we're at now, like the millennial generation, my generation, has just seen the entire explosive growth of technology and such a crazy level. And so now the whole world is connected in such a way that the digital realm or whatever is kind of where we, instead of it being semi-serious, 90s GeoCities, Flash websites, AOL internet discs in your cereal boxes, it's so serious now. Everything on there is serious. You can get canceled for what you say online. And again, I hate the I I hate the idea when I most of the time when the idea of someone getting canceled, more often than not, I hate this whole thing because more often than not, it's like it's not them getting canceled. What it is, and there are examples of people getting canceled for unjustified things, but generally it's like actions have consequences. So it's not you getting canceled, it's you experiencing the consequences for your dumb actions, right? F around, find out. You know what I'm saying? Like action, reaction. We know science. Like, uh, I don't understand how people, a lot of the time, especially people who should know better, take advantage of being a victim. They take advantage of, they hide under the umbrella of things like mental health, right? I want to talk about, um, for example, this, and this, I don't know why I picked this situation, why this situation bothers me so much, but if you are paying it, if you're like on Twitter and you pay attention to kind of what's going on in the creative space, especially amongst some of the biggest creators, if you know who Dr. Lupo is, he doesn't know me, and I don't know him in real life. I just know him as a creator. I don't really watch him. I've watched him here and there sometimes in big Twitch events and whatever. But recently he had, again, this ties all the way back into being genuine or disingenuous. This ties all the way back into um, depression and how some, I guess in this case, I guess I think being manipulative about depression, being manipulative about things like mental health, and it's from people who should know better, such as Dr. Lupo. Why I say that is because uh, this person is in a wildly successful position in life, and you know, it doesn't take a genius to acknowledge morals, whether you want to um, you know, be somebody who's aligned with positive morals, or you want to be somebody who's aligned with being a bit of a, you know, D-bag, in my opinion. So, um, he recently cheated in a chess tournament. This seems like something that should be just whatever. Why do I care, right? It's not really about what he did. It's the premise and the, I guess the situation between the lines, right? It's not so much about cheating in the chess tournament. It's about um, being wildly successful and still undermining other people just to get a little bit ahead. That's what it's about. That's why it pisses me off. And then when you got found out for cheating, because he got found out for cheating, he doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down on saying he didn't cheat, right? And then finally wrote some, in my opinion, half-ass apology uh, that basically said that, it's a thing where he's struggling with mental health and this is the reason why I cheated. In my opinion, you don't just, whether it's something that is, I guess in the real world, in the grand scheme of things, it's a small situation, right? But you don't just wake up one day being a morally sound person, right? And you wake up one day and you're like, you know what? Today's cheating day. Or you don't just like go into a chess tournament being beforehand morally sound and you're like, you know what? I got an itch. I think it's time to cheat. Like, People don't do that. Normal people don't do that. Morally sound people don't do that. People who are already pieces of hush hush, right? People, you have to actively choose to cheat. You have to actively choose to undermine other people. You have to think to do that. You have to I don't want to say premeditate, but you determine that before you do it. You know what I mean? Your brain decides to do it, and then you do the cheating. No, it's not a surprise. I don't like to hear this thing like it's it's mental health. That's why I cheated, right? And then within a week, with that whole thing blew up. Within a week, his way to earn back the trust of the community is to offer to pay $100,000 to pay the winnings out for the tournament or whatever. If you can afford to pay $100,000, this just shows the privilege of people who are well off in life. By the way, you'd probably write it off as some sort of tax write-off because, you probably have access to financial people and lawyers and this and that who can help you skirt your money through the system so that you don't actually pay anything, but you earn back the trust of the people and you get to keep your image. I bet you that Dr. Lupo did not even lose any sponsors over this. I'm willing to bet. Why? Because it doesn't come down to morals. It doesn't come down to being a good person. It comes down to money. Are you going to lose the company money, or is this something that they can just kind of dust off their shoulders, and next week they'll go back to making money off the prestigious Dr. Lupo image that, you've created over the past however many years. I hate to see that there are creators in the comments that came to immediately back him up. Like, I know you're a good guy otherwise, and this is just a slip. Dude, give me a break. You did not cheat in some insignificant to him chess tournament. It's not about the winnings for him. That makes it even more pathetic. You're not somebody who was starving on the street and needed to cheat. You are somebody who has everything that most creators, if not all other creators who are striving for greatness want. You are so far ahead of people, not only in the creative space, but in life, that you were able to offer $100,000 like it's nothing to you, and you still decided to cheat. People are so blindsided. They're so blindsided by protecting their own image or trying to just cozy up to a person when they're experiencing some sort of weak moment, as if it's a weak moment. Again, you chose to cheat. You chose to double down 1, 2, 3, 4 times on saying you didn't cheat. And then you chose to try and buy your way back into innocence. I don't want to hear it. I would literally fight Dr. Lupo myself. Not because I think I'm the toughest or most bravado person out there, but because it pisses me off to no end how people would undermine the integrity of other people just to get ahead when they don't need to. Cheating in general pisses me off. Anybody cheated, it would piss me off. But it makes it 100,000 times worse that it's not only people like Dr. Lupo would cheat in some stupid little game tournament, but it's people in real life who would cheat the people in real life. They would cheat them out of whatever you want to pick. Fill in the blanks. They would take advantage and cheat other people out in real life just to get ahead. That makes me so angry that it's hard for me to sit here and just come out with another music reaction and be okay. It's hard for me to just come out with another, watching a show, Arcane reaction, and just be okay. I haven't hit the levels of success that I want to hit, not just to hit success, but to help other people hit success, because there are so many people in this world, Dr. Lupo, piece of shit included, that would take advantage of other people and then try to buy their way back into innocence. Who's talking about it now? Nobody. I'm sure he's doing just great now. But I would fight him. And he would put up $100,000 on the line. Right? There's so many ways to go about this. If you wanted to buy your way back in innocence, being the great, most giving, right? Biggest I don't know how much money he's raised for charities and this and that, right? Such a good person, right? Why don't you give other creators a chance? Why don't you take me up on my offer to fight you, boxing or something like that? Because I don't have words. Like, all I want to do for pieces of shit like this is just like teach them a lesson, right? There always is the chance of losing. There's always the chance of losing in that. There's always the chance of losing in life. But at least it would give somebody a real shot, right? I don't even want to win all of the money, right? I would take $5,000. I would take 10 grand. I would take 1 grand, right? Anything is more than what I have. I don't have much, right? And I can talk about that. Right? People could sit there and go, oh, you're a creator. You just stay home 24/7, get a job, blah, blah. I was somebody who took the chance of starting a business in life, especially in a country as hard to start a business in as Canada. I took that chance before the explosion of COVID, before the explosion of people coming into Canada, right? The word that nobody wants to talk about is immigration, right? My family immigrated to Canada. So I don't want to hear anything from anybody about you hate immigration. It's not even about that. It's about the concept is simple. If you live in your house with a family and you have 6 rooms and you have 4 family members, that means you have 2 spare bedrooms. And so you cannot invite 14 mother effing kids over to party or stay for the weekend. Says mom, says dad, you cannot. We don't have the space. We don't have the infrastructure in Canada. We don't have we got the land, we got the space. That's great. It's not built. There's not the economies. Economies are needed to support. Like, that is a whole other video that I can make a topic on. Right? We go from the explosion of that in Canada, and obviously the problems from country to country are going to be different, right? The problems that I'm going to have a lot of American viewers, the problems that they faced in America are a little bit different from the problems that they faced in Canada. Every country faced big problems during what it led into, COVID and all that stuff, right? But there also are kind of more specific, ecosystem specific problems that were very, in Canada here, problematic for somebody like me that tried to start a business as a small creator. I was a photographer. I have my cameras, my very expensive thousands of dollars cameras on my desk, and I haven't used them for a long time. They are literally coated in dust. One problem exacerbated the next problem, right? Canada giving out money and opportunities to people that would come here more so than the people that grew up here. Canada making it so, what we went into, I can't remember the timelines of everything, but, we went into the lockdown rules, right? You can't work this, that. If you already worked at a 9-to-5 business, you could work, blah, blah, blah. The rules were different. If you were an entrepreneur, right? A sole proprietor. If you did your own business, you couldn't work, blah, blah, blah. I shot a lot of weddings, photographed, right? It was just a different time, and there was all sorts of hoops and whatever you had to jump through. It was difficult for everybody. And for me specifically, I'm forever mad because as someone who tried to start their own business and was just getting their feet wet, the whole world, me included, could have never foreseen the nonsense, the absolute tsunami of insecurity that was going to hit, right? And so, my business died down. I went, and I've always been a streamer. I've always been a bit of a content creator. So I went kind of full into that. And although I have grown in some places much more than others, like in YouTube, I've grown much more than I've grown on TikTok, but still on TikTok, I've grown much more than I've grown even on Twitch and like Kick, the streaming websites. And, you know, I put so much energy into my business, the same as I put so much energy into my streaming and content creation. And somebody would say, I have I have so many videos out on my YouTube channel between videos I made myself or videos I made with my girlfriend. I have so many videos out on my TikTok. I used to upload every single day, 2 shorts as a video on top of 2 shorts from content that I played the day prior, and I would upload that to every social media website. Um, and you know, overall, you really nowadays you really do need to hit a certain point where your numbers start to turn into a way to keep the lights on in the house. Followers are great. Having 7,000 subscribers or, followers on YouTube is great. And for people who don't understand how you make money on social media, there is a bit of money, but it's 7,000 subscribers is like nothing. It's like nothing in the big scheme of things. You have to be like over 100,000 subscribers and blah blah. And the biggest thing that I always told other creators, I always told myself that I've always learned from videos that would teach me about how to grow is be consistent, right? So again, I was trying to be so consistent. I was trying to be so high level in my output. It was taking a lot of energy from me that I felt that, you know, um, I just I wasn't being fed enough energy. Things around me weren't good, and I was putting out so much energy that's when the breakdown happens. That's when my energy drains. That's when burnout happens. And you, if we pull it back into kind of some realistic, simple things, you can't create better content without money. You can't create a life without money. At the end of the day, you need money to survive. You can't help other people without being able to help yourself first. I even think that goes as far as you can only do so much to um okay, in a certain space, right? If your space that you're trying to exist in is content creation, is try to stay at the cusp of things, you can only exist there if you have the ability to exist there. That does come down to having the right tools, right? You can't be a carpenter if you don't have a hammer, right? You can't um I guess you can, but in terms of computers, let's say if it comes down to trying to come up with content, like this happened to me working on Arcane. I would see other channels come out with their uploads literally the day after, and I would try my damnedest to do it, but you're kind of blocked in that sense by like YouTube's copyright system trying to get past that. And I would experience burnout from re-editing a video like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 times, like going through it and just cutting and like losing my mind. And again, this is already after being in business for like almost 10 years and like being a professional editor and having to edit weddings, which is complicated, trying to put together these absolutely masterful cinematic timelines. Not saying I did, but that's the goal, right? It leads to burnout. So trying to do this with the show when I'm seeing other people seemingly do it so easy. And when I say seemingly, it's because they have editors or a team of editors. You know, not everybody. Not everybody. Not everybody just starts out with an editor or a team of editors that can help them. Not everybody is at the Asmongold level where they just content every day, content every couple hours, just pumping it, right? Not everybody is the Kai Cenat or the, just content. So, I'm not trying to discredit any of the work that those creators or anybody else has done before getting to that point. It's just that it is extremely hard, and it becomes harder when other avenues of your life are also difficult. It becomes very hard to exist in this space when other things are hard. I will get back to the Dr. Lupo thing. Don't worry. This all comes back full circle. So um yeah, I was putting out a lot of energy, and I did eventually just have my burnout. And you know uh I think that for all the creators, because I've experienced this myself, for all the creators that are putting in a lot of effort and a lot of energy to try and get to that point where they can feel like they're not like struggling to stay afloat in the water, but they found a buoy, right? They found some sort of floaty device. Like they're good now. They're bringing in enough income to be able to relieve some of that stress and be a better creator. It all starts from the basics. Um, and so you can only run on fumes for so long. And I think that for creators like Dr. Lupo, who at one point, I mean, I don't have the truth. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I it's hard for me to say that he didn't put in a lot of work, and continues to put in a lot of work towards his career, but you definitely, I don't know if the word is lose some of that credibility. You absolutely damage some of that credibility when you do things like cheat in something like an insignificant chess tournament to get ahead of other people, to undermine other people. And this just goes against the spirit of being a creator that, in my opinion, at least, I think one shared goal that we all have is to entertain other people, right? We all have other goals as well, and they don't have to align. But I think that most creators want to provide some form of entertainment, some form of value in the sense of entertainment to other people. Put a smile on their face, make their day, whatever. Just be there as a form of comfort. You know, draw the line before parasocial relationships, but it's like watching your favorite TV show or something. Just be there to makes things a little easier, right? Relieve some of that stress of the real world. When people like him do things like that, it goes against everything that it means to be a sincere creator. And so my thing is like, I would fight him $50,000, $100,000 if he wins. He doesn't get any money out of me. One, because I'm poor. I don't have any money to put up, but it would be that he's fighting for his integrity. I think that for me, I do believe very strongly in F around, find out. I believe very strongly in actions and consequences. I don't want to hear or see anybody call this him getting canceled. He decided to do these things, and so whatever. I don't even think there have been very harsh consequences at all. Once you get to that level of fame, which I've never experienced, I can imagine that when you do something bad, quote unquote, like I've seen other famous people do, that it blows over in a couple days or a week or 2 weeks, because the next creator, the next person will do something dumb, and that will be the next talk of the town. Or whatever is next, it'll blow over so fast. So let's make some content out of it, shall we? If he won, he would give, if it was $100,000 in line, he would give $50,000 divvied up to like 5 different creators, or pick more creators and give 5,000 divvied up or something. Like, basically the idea would be to give other creators a chance, and then the other 50,000 would be to go to I want to say charity, but even if not, just give money to charity, because I'm pretty sure you can write that off, and I don't want there to be some sort of snaky way out of this. Use it to buy like lunch, like backpacks for kids in need or something. Like, use it to buy tangible things to show that you care about other people, rather than just, I'll put up money for a chess tournament and I'm innocent again. Give me an effing break, dude. It's so pathetic. Or if I won, it would be, the same money to creators, and then I would get to choose to do with the other half. Like, maybe I would get like $10,000 myself, just as the other creators do, and then I would choose like to give 40,000 away or something. Realistically, that's a lot of money, and it's, maybe I would keep it all. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I've never had that amount of money expendable to me. I can't just, speak on what I do, but I think what I want to do most in life, not just as a creator, but as a human being, is to help other people, and not only to entertain other people, but to help other people. And I strongly feel like you can't do that without being able to help yourself first. If you just want to hoard, um, what life has given to you, what life has presented to you, that's fine. You know, do what you do. I guess I might be judging you. I don't know, but I think that I would. I've always said this in my life, and I know there's other people that are very much like this. I would love the opportunity to be able to bless other people, especially if I was as blessed as someone as Dr. Lupo. And I find it so hard and just like abhorrent, right? Like reprehensible to be somebody who undermines other people for a little bit of prestige in a chess tournament. If you're gonna do it in something that small, how am I supposed to believe that you wouldn't do it in something that is essentially much more important? How am I supposed to believe that you didn't do it to get your career to the point that it's at? I know he is a big video gamer, right? Um, and for someone who's, I've cheated in games when I was a kid. Like, we all played Diablo growing up. Y'all remember Pindlebot skin? But like, I've never cheated in a competitive game. I think I picked up Counter Strike at like 12, 13 years old or something, somewhere around that age. Probably played it the first time like 11 around there or 12, somewhere back then, at my friend's house. Then I got it myself a bit later. And I've never cheated in a competitive game. I've never cheated as an adult. I've never cheated, when you're old enough to develop the brain that's like, that's bad and you shouldn't do it to undermine other people. Like, that's just morally bad. Like, what are you doing? Um, um, so, you know, um, I think that people like that ought to do better, much better. And I think that there needs to be less people like that that are so successful in the space. I really think they do. That's where my fury to fight him comes from. I'm like, I hate that you can just be like that. I really do. Um, so I would never want to associate with someone. I would never be shoulder to shoulder with someone like that. It comes down to not just the soul act itself. It comes down to kind of who you are as a person. If you decide to do that, then yeah, I'm judging you this harshly on that. Like, it wasn't just the initial cheating, it was the quadruple doubling down. It was the trying to buy yourself an innocence by the way that you tried to, you know what I mean? Like, it's just everything combined together. It's like, oh, that's the type of person you are. My disassociation with things has been much to do with situations like that. Situations like, you can be so fake. His image is that he's so good, but you can be so fake and still wildly succeed. My disassociation is that there are a lot of people that do that in this space, but in the real world too, it's hard for someone like me who started my own business to go back to the idea of a 9 to 5. I mean, you do what you need to do to survive, of course, but everything in me feels like I'm put on this planet to entertain people. I'm put on this planet to give something more than just my energy to a company that would fire me for their own gain, fire me to protect their gain, or fire me to. And it's not like when I say protect, it's not like I would steal or do something malicious. I just mean that, like, um most companies don't really care about your bottom line. They care about their bottom line at the end of the day, right? Even if that isn't in a malicious way, it's like they're just going to protect theirs first before they protect yours, right? Most companies. Companies that don't really care about you as a person, and it's hard to say which ones do and which ones don't. It's hard to say if that line is divided by just small ma and pa companies, and it's like the big corporate ones that don't care. Like, who knows where that line is divided? But for me, many people, maybe not the younger crowd, has seen the movie The Matrix, and I'm not going to get too esoteric and crazy out there with it, but you remember the scene when the humans are all being like harvested in the pods by the Sentinels, which are the machines, right? That's very much what real life felt like, and that idea. There's a lot of people in real life, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, or you should acknowledge it. And many people in life just want to do their 9 to 5, not be bothered by anything, and you know, they just want to be a battery in the system. There's nothing wrong with that because I understand how heavy real life can be. one of the things I do is I read a lot, and it's not like I believe everything out there. I'm trying to touch on some of the crazier things that you may find out about real life, things that make you go, "Oh my god, I can't believe," right? Uh, I do read a lot, and I think that information that you read, like my mother would just believe almost anything she reads on the internet, which is not a good place to be. You cannot be so gullible. I think you need to be um not so much one or the other, not so defensive that you won't challenge the way you think, but not so open-minded that you're just going to believe everything that somebody tells you, especially if sources are not cited and corroborated across multiple sources, which is my opinion. I think that information that you read out there uh, tends to become more realistic, more believable, more um, congruent, right? When it is corroborated from many different angles, from many different sources, from many different people. And when I say angles, um, I do mean people's opinions and potentially, if it's something physical or something, many different. Like I want to see it from, is it real? I need to see it in 3D, you know, 4D, like whatever. I need to observe it in full, from any way I can, from a thinking perspective, from a visual perspective, hearing it, whatever. Um, so when you get information that's corroborated from many different angles and stuff like that, things become more believable. And I'm so sorry about my eye, but it's really bothering me. And so there are certain things in the world that make me feel very disconnected and disassociated with the world. It makes it very hard for me to just go back into working a 9 to 5 and coming home and just being happy with that. On one hand, uh, of course, it would allow me to um, have that more of that precious resource money that we all need to be a better creator. Um, but at the same time, I know that uh, I can, if I can reach a level of output that I kind of reached before, um, without burnout, things won't be so hard, and I feel like I'll be able to acquire my own buoy or buoy, right? Whatever those things are called, those flotation devices, where it'll feel like I'm not struggling so hard and feel more afloat. Um, so that kind of contrasts like the hive mind mentality. Hive mind mentality is like just people not wanting to challenge the general train of thought, because it might make you feel alienated or make you feel crazy, or other people might make you feel alienated and they might call you crazy or whatever. Um, I think that education, I'm not talking about like your high IQ score or how smart you were in school. I'm talking about like just finding out more information about the world can be a scary thing, especially if you don't have people to share it with. And so I don't know what this means for my content going forward, but I feel like one of my favorite things to do is talk, whether that's on stream with the small crowd that I have there, or talk with one of my favorite relationships in the entire universe, which is with my stepdad, my brother's dad, who has been one of my favorite people in the entire existence of all the galaxies. He's the one who helped me start my business. He's the one who has continually given me even though he is less of a frivolously creative person himself, just less of uh, less of a, how should I call myself? A free spirit, right? He's much more, he's got cemented like how do I call it? Structure in his life, right? He was a very successful businessman. He's a chemical engineer and wildly smart. And I didn't get to enjoy the conversations I had with him until I was a little bit older. And now, especially ever since we started hanging out a bit more, have been some of my favorite conversations in the entire world. And I wouldn't give them up for anything. Every time I get to have a conversation with him about some of the things that I might not talk to other people about, say it's like if it was like a coworker or something, that um, it means so much to hear his perspectives on some of my kind of out there things, and it's always nice when somebody gives you the time of day to listen. So I think it's about the little things in life. You know, how to come back to a place of happiness. Um, being able to enjoy the little things, of course, and it's something that I'm learning again how to do, but not only do that in my own life, but share those real genuine parts of me with strangers on the internet. This video now is 55 minutes long, and I didn't think I was going to talk this long at all, but uh, and I've tried to be as clear on these topics as I can. Um, but you know, I label myself as a little bit. I self-diagnose myself as a little bit ADD. I'm a little bit all over the place. So hopefully things have made sense. And if you've been following me so far, thank you very much. Um, one of the last couple things I want to touch on is like, and I should have done this earlier, but it's just like, um, this kind of ties into everything I was saying before. Is like algorithms is uh, life can feel very algorithmic. It can feel very robotic in content creation and in real life if you just have a routine that you never kind of break out of and don't stop to like smell the roses, smell the fresh air, as that saying goes. Um, make time to do things new, like make time to reconnect with the people that you love in life, make time to reconnect with the earth, literally, you know, without sounding too hippy dippy. I don't even like going for walks outside very much, but take time to reconnect with you because the world very much is a giant fucking um it's just a drain. It's just consistently, you know, it's like humans, we are the batteries that make everything go, and you want to maintain, I guess in some sense you're like a rechargeable battery. Rechargeable batteries recharge, but they don't recharge forever, right? They do die out someday. And so you want to maintain your charge at a healthy level for as long as you can, because just like a rechargeable battery, the more you run it down, the harder it is going to be to recharge and get back to feeling good. And once some things break, they're never the same. Um, you know, kind of tying back into my own life for a second. I play guitar. I have some covers on here. I've been dealing with a hand injury and shoulder problems, elbow problems for the last couple years, and like um these things have made me depressed because they've taken away from my ability to do some basic things. Uh, you know, I have an appointment coming up at the end of this week, at the end of this month, for whatever an EMG is. And I'm not talking about the pickups, the guitar pickups. Whatever an EMG scan is on my hand. Um, basically, the injury that I'm not going to talk about in this video because I have talked about it in previous videos. You can find them on my channel. But it might prevent me from ever reaching the point in guitar that I want to, or make it like, you know, it's some things aren't worth the fight if the fight becomes too hard. It's getting to that point, and so it's hard to let go of things that you love, or feel that things that you love and love doing are in danger of you not being able to do them again. And while I still have my hand, very thankful to that, I think about people who have it worse than me and people who really are not able to do things that they're once able to do, you know, like unequivocally, you know, whether it's loss of a limb or something like that. So I, as a creator, I feel like I want to make content that is first and foremost, I think this has always been the case, very, you know, very just, it has to come from a place of happiness. Um, my content, I've always strived to be genuine in my content, and hopefully I can create an atmosphere in my life where I'm able to help other people, because I don't see any way else to exist in this world and be happy unless I'm doing it for other people. You know, some people stop at doing it for their loved ones and their family. Nothing wrong with that. I just feel like I have an idea of what I want to do, and of course, everybody could say, "Well, it's easy to do charities and your local. It's easy to help out local this and local that." For me, for some reason, that doesn't feel like enough. There is a certain scale that I want to help people on, and I do have ideas in mind of what I want to do, and it's everything to do with helping people within my local community to helping people in the creative community. But I wish I would like to see. I can't say I wish as if I'm the only one doing this, but I would just like to see more creators, um, especially bigger ones, because there's all sorts of smaller creators. I can't discount them at all. There's all sorts of creators, mid-sized, smaller creators, all sorts, doing wonderful things. I would just like to see more helping everybody from the bigger creators, I guess. Like, one person that comes to mind, even though I don't watch his content, I guess is like Mr. Beast in a sense, has all sorts of like money giveaway things. And again, I don't live in the States. I don't know the rules of running businesses down there and how, you can give money away and write it off and this and that. I don't know. I literally don't know. So I'm not even going to speak on that. But I just think that there are, it's becoming, I feel like it's becoming a noticeable, very detrimental trend that's getting quite large now to just manipulate other people for one's own gain. And I don't want anybody to call if I gain an audience that's larger than life that I don't know what to do with. I don't want anybody to call it canceled when I call you out for your nonsense because you're being a prick to other people. Like, man, on one side it feels like I have so much to say, but on the other side it feels like I don't want to say anything because it's just a dogfight. It's just 24/7, And one of the things that helps me kind of put this video out was that my girlfriend told me that the world, you're sorry, she didn't say the world. She said your opinion deserves to be heard. That was what she said. That was how she said it. Your opinion deserves to be heard. And I took that to heart. Uh, I have quite um um set in stone, quite stern opinions when I'm talking with her. Not like in like a me versus her way. I just mean about the world, about topics we may be talking about. And I don't know why I feel like I want to talk about these things with the bigger audience, the audience that I can't see. I've always preferred to do it on stream where we can have that real time interaction because it's I don't know what this is, but I just really enjoy being in the moment with people. And obviously on YouTube, even though things may reach a wider audience and on TikTok we put out videos like this and that, uh it just feels a little bit more disconnected. So, um lastly, the last thing I want to talk about was one of the things that hit me the hardest, especially at the beginning of the year, and it's something that I want to figure out how to navigate going forward. Is like this tied into my whole happiness, unhappiness thing. Was I'm a Canadian creator, and for many years, getting business relationships have been hard to have with companies in the States, not because of the companies themselves, but just because um, the US audience is wildly larger than the Canadian audience, even just by way of population of the country, and percentage of the entire population that actually watches content versus Canada. And if you're a Canadian content creator and you're sponsored by a US company, like who are you actually like marketing the product to, right? It would be like if you have other Canadians that you're marketing it to, the product is going to be more expensive anyway. Like it's kind of a downside to people in my own country when I get sponsored by, you know what I mean? So it's been hard. Thing that made it harder was obviously the relationship between America and Canada is something that I see nobody talking about. And as a Canadian creator, it's definitely hurt me in very detrimental ways, and it's I took one of the biggest blows to my ego or whatever at the beginning of 2025. Basically, I there was a company. I might go over this in another video. We'll see. I really have to see how things play out, so I'm just going to touch on it briefly here. But there's a company that I've really been looking forward to working with. I made some content not on their behalf. I just made some content that it'd be like if you picked up anything in your house that you were stoked about, and you just made a video on it just because you were stoked on it. I made a video like that, like a fan video or something like that. And I kind of I tagged them in it and this and that, and I'm not sure if I pitched it to them, but I was always stoked and I wanted to be a part of what they were doing. I knew they were an American company from early on, but I still wanted some way to get in. Like it's almost like if you just have like a dream company you want to work with in the space, right? And that was them for me for the products that they create. And so, lo and behold, one morning, in December, sorry, in November, I think it was November. I'm not sure it was November or December, but it was late 2024. I was up making breakfast for Ash and I, and um, I got a message on my phone, and it was from the new partner manager of this company who asked if I wanted to make content with them for the rest of 2025, and I was over the moon excited. I was over the moon excited. Contract was signed. I was given the back end stuff, the dashboard and all the ability to see everything that a partner should be able to see, all the marketing stuff, and I was told that like they had ordered the marketing material, the physical material, which was like a sweater and some of the product that they make, the main product that they make. I'm definitely not trying to give it away in any way, right? Because again, it's not to slander this company. I actually love this company so much still. I just I don't want the situation to happen to anybody again. And so this was one of the big things that just made me feel like I got rug pulled so hard. Like it made me feel like, why am I even doing this anymore? Like you can create to create, but at the same time, when you're trying to do it as a business to keep the lights on, to keep food on the table, you have to be making strides, be pitching yourself, be putting yourself out there, be trying to, you know, make these business relationships, because that's what's going to um, enhance or enable, your ability to actually do those things, to keep the lights on and keep food on the table. And so everything was signed. The product was supposed to come out to me. A week went by. The product never made it out to me. I had messaged them asking what was going on. I'm not sure if I got a response immediately, but the response I got eventually, some time had passed, and the response I got eventually was that they weren't supposed to be sending product to Canada. This was in relation to the tariffs that, again, and the relationship that was going on that had nothing to do with the company. The company doesn't have control of that. This is between the Canadian and the American government. I mean, we all know who started the tariffs against their neighbors and stuff like that, which it sucks for people like me. I shouldn't have to think about things like this. All I want to do is entertain people. All I want, I'm not like, this isn't something where I'm losing like $10,000 here and there. This is about having the opportunity from a company that has now become quite large and is growing, I would say, at a rapid pace over the even past 2 years. They've grown at a rapid pace. They were a company that were attached to one of the biggest gaming organizations in the States. You can imagine how much this meant for me as a Canadian creator, as somebody who's wanted and often thought about moving to the United States so that I can have a shot at a real career in this space, even if that doesn't mean as a streamer with the spotlight on them because I'm not 20 years old anymore. All I want is the ability to exist in this space. And that is being taken away from me bit by bit through no fault of my own, and I have no way to claw that back. I found out that they weren't supposed to be sending product to Canada, and I waited and waited and waited for an update on that. Months had passed, no update. I just kept being patient. We are now what month in May? We are sorry, what month in May? And what month in 2025? We are May. And I'm just finding out recently that they never really worried about following up on this issue because, of course, as a company, there were much bigger problems at much bigger issues at at hand. Um, business business growth things, rather than figuring out how to help Canadian content creators that they had already partnered. But the real blow, and the thing that I cried for hours that day. I really did. Call me a big baby or whatever, but you just imagine the thing that you were looking for. One of the things that you're looking forward to most in the space that you're trying to exist in being taken away from you. Once it was handed to you, right? It was given to you, and everything was supposed to just arrive at your door. Everything was set to go. I should have just got something at my door and it should have been ready to go. Why am I so mad? It's not just about the product and losing a sponsor, not losing a sponsor, because it's everything is still in the gray zone, but it's about, again, this company's grown quite big in the space. It's about the opportunities. For example, I can talk about this one, I believe. There has been a collaboration with one of the biggest games that came out recently, Assassin's Creed. You all know about that. And when we talk about content creation, which is your key to growth in this space, timing is everything, whether it's in content creation and streaming, or it's in the real life when it comes to doing things first, doing things right, doing things at the right time to benefit you. Well, these opportunities I don't get now because they were that close to being in my hand. And because our governments decided to not get along or whatever, or, you know, Mr. Toupee decided to not be so friendly to us neighbors up here, I basically don't have a working relationship with the company that I wanted to work with so bad. This crushed me as a creator. I cried, like I said, for hours that day because it felt like another blow on a string of hits that I've been taking that haven't felt very, obviously not very good. It's like I just want a little piece of the pie, and you know, and then it just gets taken away from me. Like it feels so bad. So it's been very hard to want to exist in this space because every time I put out a massive amount of energy, it doesn't it's not coming out the other end very well. So, um, I think that's everything. I honestly think that's everything I wanted to touch on. Um, you know, hopefully some of this made sense. I don't know what kind of content I'm gonna make going forward. This is an hour and 13 minutes. I don't expect anybody to get through the full thing of this, but if you did and you have any thoughts, I would love to read them in the comments down below, and I will try to respond to them. Over the past couple months, I haven't been responding to comments. I see when people leave comments on videos, and I just heart them because I see you people, and I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the interaction still. When I'm feeling down on myself, and it's weird to see the YouTube channel continue to grow. It is weird to see the YouTube channel continue to grow as I haven't been uploading, but it's you know, I just had to deal with whatever I was dealing with, and I'm gonna try to get through this next phase, which is just creating what makes me happy. I still want to finish for those people. I won't make any empty promises, but of course, I still want to finish those Arcane videos for those people who are waiting for them, and just tie it up as a way to get that off my chest, because that is the last big project that I fell off on, and so it would be nice to put that behind me finally. That is a hatchet that I definitely need to bury. I can't leave that out. Um, Anyhow, I really appreciate people listening. If this turns into some sort of podcast, which I have wanted to start before and have tried to start before, then it is what it is. I'm just gonna ride the wave of, you know, whatever I'm feeling, and we'll see how that pans out. I'm gonna go take care of my eye now. You guys have been great. Thank you so much. Leave your thoughts, comments, and everything down below, and I will see you in the next one.